All right. I clicked the button, so let's see if it takes. I think it will. Are we live? Can't tell. Oh, yep. There we go. We are live, and hello and welcome to everybody who's watching the Written Melon channel. Wherever this may have found you, we are so glad that you are here. Hi, I'm Chelsea, better known as CM Lockhart, and I'm here as always with LaKase. Isn't her hair cute today, you guys? I love it. And we are here as always to bring some melanin to your pages. And if you cannot tell, I'm a little bit hype about this weather, you guys. It's like 70 degrees, and I feel like a new person, a new being, and I'm so glad to be here. So, hi everyone. Benjamin was first, Ashley was next, author D.L. White is here, Audra's here, Mickey is here, and we are here. So
we're here.
We are gonna get into this chat. And before we get super into this, if you're watching this now or in the future, this is a great time to go ahead and like the stream if you haven't done it already, because it just helps us with the algorithm, and there's no reason not to, because it's completely free. There we go. So I don't know why I'm so hyped. I'm going to try to calm myself down, but we'll see how that goes. That being said, let's get into this melanin spotlight, you guys. Da-da-da.
What was that? Was that for me to go first?
Yeah, it was actually.
Okay. I just blinked. I'm so sorry. All
she
right.
Just blank stared at me, you guys.
And I was like, doot, doot, doot. I can't match your energy, but I am here. My pick this week is a book that I referenced, I think in like January or February on my TBR list. And this is The Princess Trap by, is it Talia or Talia? Talia Hibbert?
I think it's Talia.
Sorry if I think it's Talia.
Might be Talia.
Yeah. Let's go with Talia. So that's the Princess Trap by Talia Hibbert. A nice, fun romance. So let's get into the description. So Cherry Nida is 30, flirty, and done with men. As far as she can tell, they're overrated, overpaid, and underperforming in every area of life. But a girl has needs, and the smoking hot stranger she just met at the office seems like the perfect one-night stand. Prince Reuben of Helgmore is reckless, dominant, and famously filthy. The outcast royal is rebuilding his reputation, all for a good cause, but he can't resist a pretty face. And bossy whirlwind Cherry's got the face, the body, and the attitude to make Reuben's convictions crumble. Even better, when she propositions him, she has no idea who he really is. But when paparazzi catch the pair kissing in an alleyway, Reuben's anonymity disappears faster than Cherry's knickers. Now the press is in an uproar. Right? Now the press is in an uproar. The palace is outraged, and Reuben's reputation is back in the gutter. There's only one way to turn this disaster around, and it involves Cherry, some big fat lies, and a flashy diamond ring on her left hand. Unfortunately, Cherry isn't pleased with Reuben's fake engagement scheme, and neither is the king. Also, every time I said the word Reuben, I thought about the sandwich Reuben, and now I'm hungry. So...
I thought about Stuttard. That's the one that I thought about.
What?
Reuben Stuttard?
Oh, Stuttard! The singer! Yes! Teddy Bear! Oh my gosh, whatever happened to him? Googling.
Is he still alive? I think he died. I might have just made that up, but I think that's what happened.
He's alive. He's alive. He's alive. We're good.
Okay.
Yeah, at least according to Google, he's still kicking. Loved his voice. I mean, still do. But anyway, yeah, that's that book.
Sorry for anybody who's a fan. I just totally tried to kill him off. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, he's dead. May he rest in peace. Like he's very much alive.
Author D.L. White pointed out that it's Talia, so we were both wrong, actually.
Talia, thank you, author D.L. White.
And
also, Ashley, thank you for liking my hair. I'm still adjusting. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, thank you. I definitely don't want to mess up someone's name. I know what that pain feels like.
Yeah. Okay, on to the next book.
Let's do it.
So the book that I chose is actually coming out later this month on March 30th. If you want to pre-order it, please check it out in the Melanin Library or click one of the descriptions. The links in the description down below because they are affiliate links. So if you choose to click it, you won't get charged more, but we will get a slight commission. Thank you in advance. So, the book that I chose is Wild Women and the Blues by Denny S. Bryce. And the back of the book. Why would I talk to you about my life? I don't know you, and even if I did, I don't tell my story to just any boy with long hair who probably smokes weed. You want to hear about me? You gotta tell me something about you to make this worth my while. 1925. Chicago is the jazz capital of the world, and the Dreamland Cafe is the ritziest black and tan club in town. Honorée Delcourt is a sharecropper's daughter, willing to work hard and dance every night on her way to the top. Dreamland offers a path to the good life, socializing with celebrities like Louis Armstrong and filmmaker Oscar Micheaux. I hope that's how you say that. I'm not sure. Micheaux. I knew you would know it.
You know why? You know why I know it? He was my great-grandfather's cousin. Real person. I'm not kidding.
Look at you just dropping facts like I'm related to famous people. Okay.
We have a festival every year in his hometown, and my whole family gets together. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Right,
sorry. Go ahead.
My great-grandfather was his cousin. I actually know his name. Look at me being all fancy and stuff. All right.
I'm sorry. As soon as I heard you say Oscar, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, so, there you go, people. A real person, apparently. This is a historical fiction novel, just so you know. I knew that before, but, like, just so you know, it is historical fiction. Yep. Oscar Micheaux. Micheaux? Did I mess it up again? Micheaux. Mm-hmm. Okay. Sorry. Dreamland offers a path to the good life, socializing with celebrities like Louis Armstrong and filmmaker Oscar Micheaux. But Chicago is also awash in bootleg whiskey, gambling, and gangsters. And a young woman driven by ambition might risk more than she can stand to lose. 2015. Film student Sawyer Hayes arrives at the bedside of 110-year-old Honorée Delcourt, still reeling from a devastating loss that has taken him right to the brink. Sawyer has rested all his hope on this frail but formidable woman, the only living link to the legendary Oscar Micheaux. If he's right, if she can fill in the blanks in his research, perhaps he can complete his thesis and begin a new chapter in his life. But the links Honorée makes are not ones he's expecting. Piece by piece, Honorée reveals her past and her secrets, while Sawyer fights tooth and nail to keep his. It's a story of courage and ambition, hot jazz, and illicit passions. And as past meets present, for Honorée, it's a final chance to be truly heard and seen before it's too late, no matter the cost.
This sounds fabulous. I totally want to read this, Chelsea.
Okay, Audra says Micheaux. You're saying Micheaux. I don't know how it's pronounced.
Yeah. We always said Micheaux. My family always did.
Okay, I don't know. I ain't gonna. I couldn't have told you he wasn't a real person until 3 minutes ago. So there you go. That's how it's spelled. You can pronounce it how you want to in your head.
I think any way to say it is fine. It's very much like a French, like Creole name. So
okay.
Oh, dope, Audra. She wrote about him in college. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Dope. Okay. Well, like I said, this book is coming out March 30th, and I just thought it sounded really cool because I had wording was hard today, reading the description. But I thought it sounded really interesting because you've got a 110-year-old woman telling about the true story that, and I don't know, that just kind of hit a chord with me because my grandmother my great-grandmother, not my grandmother. My grandmother's still in her 90s, 80s, 90s.
Right.
I don't know. Ma, if you're watching me, correct me. But, my great-grandmother lived to be 108. So I was just kind of like, dope. She's old and she's telling her story and, she's still in her right mind. So this sounds really cool. And plus, like, who doesn't love jazz and, Prohibition? So.
That's fat. You said it comes out this year?
Yeah, it comes out in 3 weeks. 3 weeks from today, actually, on the 30th.
Sounds very interesting.
Mm-hmm. I would read it.
I would too.
But
King S. Bryce.
Okay, so my grandma's 81. There we go.
Oh wow.
So thank you, Ma. I appreciate you for coming through. All right.
Hey.
But that being said, today you guys, oh, my brain stopped and rerouted itself mid-sentence. I think I said this already, but if you are interested in either of these books, there are links in the description box below, or you can check them out on the Melanin Library. Wild Women and the Blues is actually on the front page of the Melanin Library if you want to check it out. So there's that for you. Just go to new releases and it's there. That being shared, let us get into our conversation for today. We're talking about putting your characters through the ringer, how to write high stakes, emotional triumphs, and just like when to make your characters cry. Because as writers, what am I trying to say? We have to know that balance between letting them win and letting them struggle. Because nobody wants a story that's where everybody's just perfect. And it's like, oh, la-di-da, we live in a book of rainbows and cupcakes and flowers. Except maybe if you're like 10 and writing for the first time, because I did write a story like that, and it was very entertaining to my 10-year-old self.
That's everyone's first intro into writing.
Yes. It's like, let me just make a world where everything is perfect. And then you get to high school, and you're just like, let me bring the pain. And then somewhere along the way, you figure it out. So, yeah. That being said, obviously this is conversation, so if you guys have any suggestions on how you write your stories, things you like to see, etc., let us know. I have a couple of things that I like to see and things that I want to see that I have not actually seen yet, but it is what it is. Also, D.L. White was like, she doesn't love writing struggle, but she does love putting her characters through it. And honestly, I feel you on that. Like, I personally wouldn't want to be in their situation, but at the same time, we finna do this. So that being said, a couple of things that I love to see about. The first one is no take-back decisions. Because I feel like a lot of times when we read books, it's just like everything can be fixed by the end. Like, things can be undone. And so for me, I'm like, if it's a high stakes, some of these decisions need to be permanent. Like, okay, if you choose path A, path B is no longer an option. Like, you can't just decide to change your mind halfway through. You see what I'm saying? Right. And also Camille is here. Hi, Camille. How you doing? Hey. Glad you can make it. And Shamie is also here. Hey, how you doing?
Hey.
So yeah, my brain cannot keep up with me today. I'm sorry. LaKase, you talk.
You're fine. No. So you have some things that you like to see for high stakes. I think something that I struggle with writing is I don't want to. It's hard for me to put characters I like through bad things, but then I think about how that just gives them more depth, and it I think it creates a more likable character if they aren't always succeeding. That has been a learning process for me, and a blind spot I've had to course correct. But I love to see a character mess up. Maybe they're great at something and someone else comes along who's better at it than they are. That little bit of realism.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be like like your character is on the brink of death. Sometimes it's like little things that are kind of cute that are fun. Because think about like in your own life going through the ringer, like the things that stick with us the most are times we've been embarrassed.
Yeah.
So maybe like embarrass a character or let them fail or let them make a fool of themselves and like come back from it, because then you have a whole new set of lessons to explore. So that's definitely something that I like, is maybe like it feels high stakes to a person, but in the story it's lower. Like that's a great way to like teach yourself to write characters who aren't perfect, is if you start setting them up for like little failures, then you build up. Always it needs to fit within the story, but build up to bigger stakes.
I 100% agree, and I feel like there needs to be a balance between, like you said, the day-to-day, what they feel is important and high stakes, and then like actual plot-wise high stakes. And obviously this hits differently versus if you're writing a romance versus a fantasy, because romance is going to have
Totally.
like emotional high stakes, whereas
Yeah.
the fantasy is going to have more like, okay, this decision might have some consequences.
Yep.
My favorite thing to do when I'm writing high stakes is I like to make my characters selfish, because I feel like a lot of times
Yeah.
characters make like the selfless choice, the right choice, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
that moral compass. Y'all know I'm not down for like just a morally straight character just for them to be morally straight. So I love writing characters who it's like you have the selfish decision, like this isn't necessarily wrong, but also like it's not helping as many people as it could, but it helps you the most, versus the completely selfless decision, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where I fall into that, because it's just like making that selfish decision is in itself a high stake, because you're putting other things
Totally.
at risk. And
Uh-huh.
I like to see when the consequences fall through of those. So I guess that kind of falls into the next point of when you're writing it, you have to, I feel like in order to write it well, you have to show the struggle. Like the how do I put it? Not them just making a decision, right? But having them go back and forth with the decision. Like, should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? Kind of thinking it through, especially with older characters. Like, if you're writing YA, like, I get it. When you're a teenager, there's a certain level of impulsivity that comes with that.
Yeah, you don't know.
But
Totally.
when you're writing, like, older characters, I kind of love, like, a conscious decision maker, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And when
so, like, someone who will stick to their guns on a decision.
Yeah, because, like, you know how you do in real life. Like, okay, like, let's just say, like, we moved back to North Carolina, right? So that's a decision that we can't just undo. Moving across country is not something that you do on a whim, right? You move to a different apartment across town on a whim, right? You don't move across the country on a whim, right? And so it's like going back and forth, weighing the options and understanding that if we took this option and we go back to North Carolina, that crosses out the options that we had in Texas. You see what I'm saying? Right. So, like, taking that same energy into your story with different stakes. Like, okay, if we go and save, you know, the princess, then, yeah, we're going to save her, but that's also going to destroy the monarchy, you know? Or we can stay here and protect the current queen, but that means that the princess is going to die, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to do both. You don't get to save the monarchy and the princess. You've got to pick one.
Pick one. Mm-hmm.
So I love to see that back and forth, and that the struggle. And I feel like when you see the struggle, you sympathize with the character in their stakes.
And it makes the stakes actual stakes. If everything's so easy, then nothing matters. You know, if you can just walk in and say, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, it's not a story.
Right.
That is just a series of events.
Exactly.
So you gotta have some sort of, like you said, tough decision making.
And it has to be a decision. That's something else that I've realized, because I know that this is kind of what am I trying to say? It's on Twitter, but basically it's a conversation that goes back and forth about how Black characters, a lot of people see it in fantasy, at least I've seen this discussion, where the story just happens to them versus it being what they call active decisions. And people are like, a lot of times the story in and of itself is kind of that active decision. Like, survival is a choice, right? And the conversation goes back and forth about making active decisions and versus the story just happening to your character. And I feel like in the conversation of when we're having, like, writing high stakes or writing emotional highs or emotional lows or whatever, at some point it does have to be a conscious choice for your character to do a certain thing, even if it is them sort of being pulled along by the story. At certain points, if it is going to be like an emotional thing for them, they have to choose the emotional thing. Does that make sense? At least that's how I feel anyway.
I could see that. I definitely see that. I'd be interested in knowing, like, what people in the chat are thinking about it as well.
Yeah. Ashley G said that she totally puts her characters through the ringer. She has one character who made a loving choice and it resulted in someone's death, and she has to live with that and simply be better like real people.
That's a good
love that
point. Yeah, me too.
I love when the right choice still brings about bad consequences.
Bad things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Or, like, moving from a place of love, what does that look like?
Exactly. And then
That's great.
D.L. White said that people aren't all the way good, nor are they all the way bad. And that's why
Nope.
we have to have choices, and you have to show that.
Precisely.
And Audra said that she likes to talk to them when she puts them through it because she feels so bad. Like, you gonna be all right. That's how it feels when you're writing it. Like, look, I'm sorry, but also it's gonna be okay. Some of you aren't gonna make it, but that's all right too.
That's okay. It's just part of this. I mean, it's part of life too. I mean, think about people that you have to leave behind in your own journey. You know, maybe choices that you had to make for yourself that lost you people or put you on the path to bad people. You know, I think though I love having bits of realism in a story.
Yeah.
It makes me feel more immersed. And not maybe a choice that you make at 20 is a good choice, but it's not a great choice at 30.
Yeah.
So
things change.
You know,
and I know this is like a family friendly show, but there's like this quote or like this story, or fable or tall tale or whatever you want to say about there's a bird who didn't fly south for winter and it got caught in a snowstorm. It was it fell to the ground and it was in the snow and it was freezing to death, and a cow came and pooped on it. And
sorry, caught me off guard. Sorry.
And the poop kept the bird warm during the winter, right? And so when the snow thawed out, the bird was still alive, and a cat came and dug it out, and then he ate it. So, and the moral of the story was, not everyone who shits on you is your enemy, and not everyone who gets you out of shit is your friend. And that kind of just sits with me, because I was just like, I love stories like that as well, because it's just like the villain isn't necessarily the villain, and the people who are helping you aren't necessarily trying to see you succeed, you know? And so when you have that nuance in a story, I feel like that in and of itself, having that dynamic creates high stakes, because it's like, who do you trust, right? But also it adds that level of, like you said, making good choices, but bad things still happening. You know, and not being all the way good or all the way bad.
Another great thing to do is maybe write what if you have a character who does everything right, but people around them make bad choices. That's kind of, you know, that can change the tone of a book as well.
For sure.
I don't know. I think of like Harry. Gosh, I know. I feel like I bring this. We both bring up this series all the time because it was such a formative part of our youth. But like, I think about Hermione's always doing the right things, and she's always having to get other people out of it, you know, and getting hurt. And she's not the main character, but
she's part of the core group.
She's part of the core group, and that always struck me. It kind of be like, she's right. They're so dumb. Why does this keep happening?
But then
they just listen to her.
Also, active choice. She decided to keep them as her friends.
She did, and it's like, why? Literally, why?
We make choices, homie.
We do. Raise your hand if you have ever. We have all kept friends that we needed to let go of. But yeah, I just think about that as well. You know, those like morally sound characters who are just like surrounded by like stupid meatballs, basically.
Yeah.
That they have to deal with. That's, to me, is fun. But
I love it when you have optimistic characters. You know, the ones who's always like, it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. We're going to come up with a plan. We're going to go. When they're finally like, we just up a creek without a paddle. I don't know what else we're going to do. We tried everything. We're doomed. Right? Yeah. I love it when they're like, when they hit rock bottom and then everybody else is just like, oh, we're kind of in a bad position. If they're
like really hits. Yeah.
It's different. You know, and adding in that optimistic character who hits that low, I feel like is also a really good way to like write in those stakes and write in that emotional high, because it's just like, you know, we all have that person that we go to who's like our rock, our foundation, it's going to be okay. And sometimes it's not going to be okay. And when that person's
not.
Yeah,
I also think like in the same vein, I think about, you know, there's a saying like, fear the anger of like a calm man, you know, or, you know, a calm person. Like the stakes are raised to such heights that your normally calm friend is freaking out or screaming or angry, or they've lashed out, or now they're crying and you've never seen them cry before. What does that look like?
You know what that reminds me of? I spend a lot of time on Pinterest, and on Pinterest there are a lot of screenshots of Tumblr, which is a very weird way to get through Tumblr posts. But
very strange.
I enjoy it. It's a strange rabbit hole.
It is.
But there's a quote from Tumblr. It might be from somewhere else. I don't know. It's a rabbit hole, right? But it's like, The devil runs when a good man goes to war. That's what that reminded me of. And it's
That's a good
just
one.
like, yeah, you got a point.
Stakes are high, babe. Stakes are high.
I love how Mickey was like, she contradicting you. She's like, nah, I drop those friends like they're hot. If they're moving mad, you're out my circle. I mean,
well, that's you as an adult. What about when you were a kid? Were you always that way? I hope so. A smart kid.
Oh, that kind of goes back to my that's why I don't have any friends, you guys.
Oh, Chelsea. Not in this life.
Yeah, that's okay. But other things that I personally like to see is one of my favorite, not necessarily tropes, but when there's like infighting among the core group and then like they kind of split. I also feel like that's high stakes because especially when you start the story, you're like, these are the people who are going to be together, and you kind of expect like people to be together because we did grow up with so many let's say squad goals, I'll say.
Totally.
The first time that I saw this, and this is honestly kind of ironic because I don't watch TV with real people, but but Glee.
I didn't really watch that, but I follow. I know the premise.
Basically, there's a club, and basically they get to a point. There are a couple of times in the season where the Glee club splits up because they're like, hey, Rachel's the only one getting the lead, and we're sick of it, so we're going to go start our own group or whatever. And so when there's infighting among the group, everybody's just like, ooh, whose side are you on? Who you with? And I just love dynamics like that.
Yeah. That's a good way that is a good way to raise the stakes or switch it up. Yeah. I enjoy that as well. A trope that I really like, gosh, I forgot my words. Sorry, give me a second. How was I going to say it? I love when a character, good or bad, does something that they can't come back from. Like they can't go back to who they were anymore.
Yeah.
And that like changes the whole tone of the story. Like I really get down on that. I feel like that's a great way to switch things up and kind of like, I don't know, raise maybe their character stakes, but you just got me thinking about that. Like when they've made a choice that they can no longer be who they used to be.
And honestly, I feel like every story should get to that point eventually, no matter what kind of stakes you're writing. There should always be a point where the character can no longer go back to who they were at point A, because that's the whole point of the story. If you don't have growth in your story, what's the point?
What's the point? Again, like life, if we were making those exact same choices we were making at 9.
Honestly, not even 9. I'm like, imagine making the same choices at 26 that you made at 16.
Not good.
Like, you have matured 0% since high school. Like, gosh, golly, bruh.
Yeah, that's not good. But again, like I said, I'm so into that like realism, like looking at your own life for inspiration, like relationships for inspiration, whether you're writing fantasy, historical, romance, straight fiction. Those are definitely important things to consider. That way your story doesn't feel
Yeah. And one of the other things that I really, really love, and I think I haven't read the book, so don't be mad at me if I'm wrong, but like the other thing that I really love is when you get when the characters get what they want, but then they realize that it's not what they want. And I know that happens a lot with romance. Like they want to get the guy, and they realize that it's not really what it seemed like. Maybe this isn't going to work out. Maybe I don't really actually like you. And I really like that as well, because it's just like that's a high stake that we kind of can relate to from real life, I think, because we all at times want something, but then we realize once we get to it or get close to it that maybe this is not it, and you have to give up on that. And giving up on something that you've wanted for a long time is also a very high emotional stake, if that makes sense.
So I wasn't laughing at you. I laughed at the chat. Sorry about that. But no, I hear what you're saying. Mickey was saying that she's been like that for forever, and it's pure Scorpio energy. I'm like, okay, yep, both Scorpios. I also, when someone hurts me, I'm just like, bye, I'm out of here.
Peace out.
No more of that. But I had a comment I wanted to bring that I thought was good.
Oh, author D.L. White brought up about the infighting. That's so Brunch at Ruby's. Best friends get selfish and start thinking about themselves and their situations and their group factors. So Brunch at Ruby's is also in the Melanin Library. So if you guys want to search it, you can definitely get it there. Copy there.
Okay. Chelsea saw the comment I was looking for. Thank you. And also Batgirl said, I agree. I don't like magical do-overs. Let the decisions have weight.
Yes.
And Ashley G said, the monkey's paw. You get what you want, but it's somehow wrong. I want to be a millionaire, but the genie puts the million in your account by wire fraud. Ooh, or you know, you want to, or you get, you want enough money to go on a vacation, and your spouse dies, and you get their insurance.
Yeah,
so things like that.
That's kind of dark.
That's how it works. That's how the monkey's paw works. I think in one of the stories, like they lose a child.
Hey, no, public service announcements. Brunch at Ruby's is free in the ebook right now, so go get that. Go cop it. Go check it out. Do that immediately.
Brunch at Ruby's.
There you go. If you want to drop a link, you can. I don't know if you can. Benjamin, if you're watching this, drop a link because you have moderator privileges. So yeah,
I might be able to. If Ben can, I can too. I think.
Yeah, one of you guys can.
Yep.
But
we'll race.
Matt. Let's see who's gonna win. That was unattractive, and I'm so sorry.
I am incredibly deaf.
You're welcome. Payback.
Brunch at. All right, I got it. Unless has been put it in the chat yet? I haven't looked.
Nope.
All right, I'm linking through it in the Melanin or what am I trying to say?
Melanin Library.
Wow. One of the Melanin places. Okay. Boom.
But at least it's on brand. Whatever it is, Melanin Chat, Melanin Inc., Melanin Library.
One of the Melanin adjacent sites. Okay, there we go. It's in the chat. You guys have the link that's our affiliate link. We have to say that always.
I love how Ben was just like casually gave up. It's like, you got this. You win.
Yeah, he did. He's like, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I think all this boils down to what Batgirl said. Like, the decisions need to have weight, whatever they are. And so when they don't carry weight and they can just be undone or they can be fixed or whatever, unless that's the purpose of the book. Because, like, I know a lot of middle grade books, that's literally the purpose. You make a bad decision, you learn during the adventure, and then you fix it at the end, right? Mm-hmm. But I feel like when you're writing for an adult audience or young adult, new adult, the decisions need to have weight. You can't just undo them. Yeah. I'm sorry doesn't fix it. There is no fairy godmother who's going to come and wish you back to the beginning. There's no time traveling where you can stop yourself. Unless you're going to have ripples in the timeline, and that's going to cause other problems. Right? But I forgot where I was going with that. Just, yeah, they need to have weight, you guys, whatever they are.
Definitely have to have weight.
I feel like we've been kind of sprinkling it in here, but for our authors, if you have some tips and tricks on how to write these high stakes that we haven't mentioned already, for sure, throw them in the chat and we will mention them. A couple of the ones that I have that I like to see personally, I talked about a couple of them, like showing the struggle. I feel like this goes along with creating your character. Creating your character though, and letting the reader get to know your character. Like, they should know the things that they would struggle with, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
So, I don't have an example off the top of my head. I tried really hard, actually. But I don't have, like, a common example off the top of my head that's not Harry Potter.
God, we gotta read more books. I mean, we read so many books. Why is that one always one that comes up for us?
I read it during my formative years, and it took up so much of my life. It took up like a decade of my life reading the books and waiting for them to come out. It's just like it's there, and it's like
it's always gonna be there. I went to the theme park twice. Like it's part of my DNA now.
I remember like going to Barnes and Noble and like waiting outside in the car with my mom for them to open to get there and make sure that I got one of the copies that they had in the store. And it was just like a mad rush to the door when they opened. So It's just like that's
I always got mine at Christmas. My parents would pre-order it for me because I knew, and I would sit and read it all Christmas Day.
Yeah.
The day after Christmas.
That's how you get that gifted kid syndrome, because your parents are like, you read that entire book in 2 days?
Oh,
man, that's amazing.
Good job. It's like, oh my gosh, it feels good to be validated.
Right?
Of my success.
Like, I'm so smart. See, I can read the whole 800-page book in 2 days. I'm special.
We've got baggage.
A little bit.
It's a pinch. We both. I like I keep saying.
Ashley said, show the struggle and foreshadow that some big choice is coming. Absolutely. Like, I feel like short.
Yep.
I say this all the time, especially to LaKase, and I'm sure she's sick of it. But like, you have to leave breadcrumbs. You've got to leave breadcrumbs. Like, nothing in your book should. If somebody rereads your book from the beginning, nothing that comes at the end should surprise them. Like, everything should lead up to it, and there should be little hints that something big is coming. You know. And again, I refuse. I'm not gonna talk about it. So we're just gonna move on. So basically, I was going to say that based on Harry Potter, how in the first book, when he releases the snake, it comes back full circle, and the breadcrumbs were there all along, that they were leading up to a major war. They didn't just come out of nowhere. That's all I was going to say.
Totally. And I was going to say, just on the other side of that, the series is a great example of trying to shoehorn in breadcrumbs later. Like, I was leading to this all the whole time, and they really weren't. So you really have to do the work ahead of time, and you can't just magic, like, who said that earlier?
Batgirl.
Like Batgirl was saying, you like magic wand it away or magic wand it in. You can't just pretend that you left all the clues there. Or we would have connected the dots. So the author definitely did a little bit of both later on, which was suspect for me. But no, I think this is a great example.
I had another example, but it was from anime, and it's Naruto. So if you guys watch anime,
bye.
Just saying, Naruto is another good one where things lead up to where they end up at the end. Specifically, the Great Ninja War. So yeah, I'm not going to talk about it. Not going to get into anime, but it's there if you want another medium. Just throwing it out there. But yeah, I always mess it up the same, but I think it's Chekhov's gun. If you show the gun, it needs to be used, fired, and thrown in the lake before the book ends.
Put anything in there that you don't want your readers to pick up on.
Yeah.
Don't just throw stuff in there. It's gotta circle back eventually.
Everything has to come back full circle.
Yeah.
So a couple other things that I love to write in. Or things that I personally love to see. Also, some of this, not even gonna lie, I just took it from Tumblr, because Tumblr has a lot of good ideas, you guys. I'm not even gonna lie.
Tumblr does.
Like, these fanfiction people are like legit. Just so you know, don't sleep on fanfiction writers, because they be having some real suggestions that are just like, oh, that's great. I'm gonna jot this down. They do.
They're real writers. They can take a series or a show that kind of sucked and make it amazing.
They can
turn it all around. It's a skill.
It's, I will say that it's a huge skill to take somebody else's story and write in somebody else's world with somebody else's characters and make it better than the original. It's hard, and in some cases can be disrespectful, because it's just like, what were you doing? Why are you not the person getting paid to do this? But also, respect
that part. For free. Sorry, don't get me started. I'm just putting these out there. Oh.
What was I gonna say? Oh, so a couple things. Make the consequences known when you're having the character make choices. So I'm not a fan of a person making ill-informed decisions. I like informed decisions in real life and in books. I like, if you're gonna do something, have thought it through to the best of your abilities. Like, I am totally fine with if you don't, in the book, you don't know that this is going to happen. Like, if you save the queen, the princess is going to die, or the king is going to get poisoned by the guard who's not really a guard and just snuck in with you. Okay, you ain't had no way to know that. That's one thing. But just the arbitrarily making decisions, but no thought, you don't know what the consequences are. You just have to pick red pill or blue pill, and you don't know what either one of them do. Nah, not for that. Not for that. Make the consequences known. Also, I like it when you don't give the character time to process. That boosts emotional stakes. When they make a choice and something happens, but they've got to keep going. They don't have time to sit there and think about, oh, snap, this just happened, or let me get through this, or let me sit with this for a little bit. Just have them be like, nope, I'm fine. But other characters can tell, like, I don't know. You don't look too okay to me, homie. Like, you need to talk. No, I'm good. Let's just keep moving. Keep it going.
Keep going.
Also, I'm not a huge fan of like giant dramatic breakdowns in stories, unless it fits the character. I kind of like it when it's something small, like they're trying to keep it together, and then it's like something really small and almost insignificant that just like throws them off balance. Like it's the wrong person asking them, "Are you okay?" Or it's like they're in like a coffee shop and it's somebody calling somebody else's name. They have the same name, you know, something super small and insignificant that you're like, whoa, that's what sent you, you know, because when you think about it in real life, those are the things that send you. It's not the, what is it? It's the straw that breaks the camel's back type thing.
Yeah. It's never a big straw.
It's never the big load. It's a little tiny thing that you ask me to carry on top of everything else.
Exactly. And I was just going to say, for your previous point, I kind of am the opposite. I like sometimes, well, depends on the character, but I do enjoy, when a character makes a choice that hasn't, like, that's not an informed decision. They'll just act on emotion. But again, it depends on the character.
Yeah. Impulsive decisions are fine. I'm just, like I said, for the most part, even impulsive decisions, though, you kind of know what's going to happen afterwards to a certain extent, even if you don't think about it. Does that make sense?
You have hopes, I think, for where it can go.
Right.
Sometimes the impulsive decisions could be a little bit more exciting for the reader. For me, as a reader.
I love how you
I don't want to say
like
for
three
all
different places.
Well, because I want to be clear that it's not for all readers. I think for me, that's what I enjoy.
Yeah. I got you. Okay, I only have like 3 more points, and then you guys are going to have to help me out. Also, high emotional stakes, have them fight with everything they have and they still lose. You know, like it's not, I feel like we've been conditioned to think like if you give everything you've got and you believe in yourself and you don't give up, then at the end of the day, you will succeed. Like success lies at the end of this road of hardship. Sometimes it does not. Sometimes it is failure. And sometimes there's nothing you can do about it because you made all the choices that you could have made. You did everything that you thought was right in that moment, but sometimes it doesn't work out the way that you want it to work out.
Right.
And you have to work around that, you know? Also, and I don't see this often enough. I wish I saw it more, kind of going back to what we said about like toxic friends and not keeping friends that you shouldn't have around you. But having your character choose to walk away from what they think they need or who they think they need.
Yes.
Yeah. Because
that's
character...
a great way to... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go.
No, I was just going to agree. Like, that's a great way to spice things up. So, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so Batgirl, are you talking about... Which Avatar are you talking about? The live action with the blue people, Avatar: Last Airbender, or Legend of Korra? Because we don't talk about the other movie.
Please don't bring it up, Chelsea. It'll make her so mad.
I was just curious, which one you're talking about, but yeah, because I feel like toxic relationships are something that are kind of glamorized a lot, even though I'm not necessarily one to talk because of my book, but also. Sometimes you have to walk away from people, and
totally.
A lot of times when people have toxic relationships, even if you know it's bad, you still don't want to leave because you care about that person, especially if you're not the toxic one.
It's comfortable. You feel like you can fix them, save them.
Yeah. So.
A lot of reasons.
Okay. I got you. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. All right.
Oh, Bossing Say.
Bossing Say. I love Bossing Say. Okay, not gonna get an Avatar: Last Airbender rant. Although, if you didn't know, the creators of Avatar: Last Airbender did get their own studio. So there's an Avatar Studios at Nickelodeon now. So really excited to see what comes from that.
I don't know why it took so long, but they did finally.
Like, imagine giving creators the space to create from the beginning versus trying to stifle them. It's such a novel idea.
Who would have known? Well, yeah, they went to Netflix and back, so I don't know why Nickelodeon wasn't just on it already.
I mean,
but
it wasn't even that. They had like comic books where they continued the story. They had The Legend of Korra. They went to Netflix. They had a live action movie that they had no part of, actually.
No saying. Then they left Netflix because they had creative differences, which I'm sure it was just Netflix trying to mess up the story.
They actually talked about it on their blogs, actually.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, both of them put out a letter saying what the problem was, and basically the problem was Netflix was trying to make it older and darker, and they're like, this is a show for children, and so they were trying to like age up the gang and add in like romantic,
gross
triangles, I'll say, and
like, so what they did with the Winx saga. That's what
I haven't watched the Winx saga.
I haven't either. I have not either, but that's what I have read that they did with that show. Netflix is all about like, let's like what if it were dark, like Powerpuff Girls, but like one has a knife, like
not one has a knife. They can fly. It shoots lasers from their eyes, but they need a knife.
He like has a knife, and maybe one has an eating disorder. It's like, what?
Like, why?
Make the show. Why?
Like,
that doesn't surprise me at all.
You know what I love, honestly? Just like remake the original, but in better quality, so I can watch it on my 4K TV now. That's honestly all I want. That
sounds great. Just do the whole show in live action again. I will watch it.
I don't want live action. I don't want live action.
Oh, you don't want to animate it still? Well, I mean, if Netflix was, just thinking of the Netflix live action show, I'm like, they had the entire show to just like remake, and it would have made bank. Yeah. I would have sat through it if they decided to do that, but I'm not paid the big bucks.
Like, they've got comics and they've got books and things as well, so I mean, like, they could have just did that too. But I digress. Y'all know I can go down a rabbit hole with Avatar, The Last Airbender. So, gonna not try to bore you with that.
We could at least have 3 people stay in the chat, probably.
Probably. Just a couple.
Yeah. Batgirl, Ben, and Ashley, I'm thinking. those are who I'm taking bets on, who would stick around.
Okay. What was I going to say? And then the last point that I actually already talked about was having the optimistic character lose hope, which is also I kind of feel like that's a benchmark thing, honestly, versus a high stakes thing. It's just like, we tried. It's okay, you guys. We're going to get through this, you know? And then something else fails. It's like, it's all right. We still can do this. And then that fails. And you're like, you know what? Forget it. I don't know. We're done. Why even try anymore? So yeah. Those are my tips and tricks for
sound good
writing. Why did I forget what we were talking about in the middle of saying it? What are we? Oh God!
What? You lost me.
Those are my tips and tricks for putting your characters through the ringer and writing high stakes. There we go. Full coherent thought.
And what excellent advice that was. Do you all have any more advice? Would love to hear it. Do you have any comments on the tips that Chelsea shared? The few tips that I shared as I'm still learning how to write stakes.
Yeah. Any questions about the after chat? Because that will be happening today if you haven't signed up for it.
Author GL White. Avatar is actually a TV show, which is okay. You don't have to know that. It's very niche.
It is not niche.
It's a little bit. It's like a little bit. It's very popular, but I would say it's like a little.
Okay, so how can something be popular and niche at the same time?
One Piece is very popular, but anime is still niche. Not everybody watches it. You know, it's its own like world.
I have comments on that, but I'm not going to argue.
We'll talk about it later. We'll take it for the after chat. I think because
anime is kind of like a whole culture. It's like the whole continent of Japan. Animation.
The continent. The country.
I said continent.
Good night. All right. I was right. Ashley G and Batgirl. Ben hasn't commented, but we have our 3 peeps. We're sticking through it.
And one of we actually poses. I put this on Twitter before we did this today. So we actually got one response. It was from her is Unbothered Queen, and her response to how she makes her characters cry is to take an everyday hardship and let outside people and influences disrupt their life again and again until they're bawling from exhaustion, which I just kind of call it the overwhelming snowball. It's just like, it goes. It just goes and goes and goes, and you just can't catch a break, you know? I think that's also a really good way to write high stakes.
Yeah.
But yeah. Ashley said, don't be afraid to let the consequences fall. If you're too scared to write a real consequence, you're going to end up writing middle grade, which is okay, but it's not YA and up. I agree. Because like I said, when you're in middle school and you're young and you're growing, like mentally, you need to understand that it's okay to make mistakes and learn and grow from them. That's like part of development, right? But as you get older, you start to understand that your mistakes carry consequences, and you start becoming an adult, and you realize that everything can't just be fixed by mom, dad, an apology, what have you. So those stories have to start to carry weight, because if you have a YA book where basically everything gets magicked away, that's not going to fit your audience and what they want and what they're looking for, because
not at all.
They're going to know enough to be like, that's not how the world works. That's not what would happen. And when you take that, you can have a whole lot of fantasy, but when you take that certain level of realism away from it, it's no longer interesting. Because if the characters don't have to deal with their consequences, it's just like, why am I reading the book? You know?
Again, it's just, you can't just have it be a collection of stuff. Yeah. There's got to be a story in there, and stories require things changing.
Yep, they do. But yeah. So that's pretty much it for what we had on this topic today, you guys. If you like, we are going to continue this conversation and other things in the after chat. So if you're not sure what that is, the after chat is the chat after the chat that we have on our Patreon. It is a live stream where we talk about things, get a little bit candid, share a couple of things that are going on in the behind the scenes, our own thoughts, sometimes argue with each other about Avatar: The Last Airbender like we're going to do today. And
I will emerge victorious.
She will not.
She definitely will. But yes, go ahead, Chelsea. Sorry.
If you want to join, there's a link down in the description box below. $5 gets you in. It's fun. You also get a bunch of other stuff that's coming down the pipeline, because LaKase has a book coming out, in case you didn't know. It's called Across the Broken Tide, and it's available on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and pretty much everywhere books are sold. You can also buy it on the website for $4 if you're into that type of thing, if you want an ebook. Just saying. So, you also get, like, cool little freebies and stuff with that if you sign up for the appropriate tier. So, check it out if that's your thing. You'll also be supporting Black authors, and supporting Written in Melanin and the Melanin Library, so we can continue making these resources for you guys, like the Melanin Library, the Melanin Chat, doing the Melanin Spotlight, having authors on the channel, so on and so forth. So, yeah. If you haven't already, like the stream, follow LaKase if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, because you don't want to miss the Melanin Chat next week, because we will be back doing this same time next week. And that is it, because I don't know what else to say. So bye, you guys. Oh, until next time, we hope your days are lovely and your books are interesting.